Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everybody had a good day today. This is Phil Russert, and this is Creatorcon Q&A. If you didn't already know from all my advertising, tonight we have a special guest, Alex Sinclair, top colorist in comic books today. Before we get to speaking to Alex, I just want to do my usual shout-outs. We have for your comic needs, Mad Titan Comics, Mad Titan _comics on Instagram. Eric Gunderson, who's the owner and operator on Facebook. Reach out to him for slabbed books, key issues, dollar books, you name it. You want to fill in your run, Eric Gunderson is your man. We also have www.lesdudis.com, LESDUDIS. That's Andy Lee. He is the wonderful human being that does all my promo graphics, so thank you, Andy. His website is everything pop culture and geek culture, so please go check it out. We have It Came From the Radio, which is a podcast radio show and an internet radio show hosted by Mark Torres. He's got a great group of people with him. It's very funny and it's very informative, indie scene and the pop culture scene. And finally, we have Enrique Lopez, Inking with Kike. Is his 8 o'clock p.m. show every Monday night. He actually had me on as a guest last night. We had a good time. And he also has his book out, Stupendous, which actually I have right here, so I will show you. So that's his book, Stupendous. I just got mine in the mail. So go check it out. You can go to Enrique's website, which will be posted in the chat, or you could reach out to him on Facebook on direct message. So other than that, hey, Lewis, thanks for coming out. Doomsmith's Light Pad channel. How are you? Hey, Brandon, how are you? No problem, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the art. So tonight we have Alex Sinclair, who's a famous, legendary colorist in the industry. He makes Batman look fantastic. He's also made Superman look fantastic, and just anything he touches looks fantastic. So, without further ado, let's bring on Alex Sinclair.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Remember, steal third.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So, how you doing? How's everything going?
Everything's well. Everything's well.
Sunny California?
It's still sunny. It's still beautiful. Thankfully, the fires weren't anywhere near us, so we didn't have to worry about any of that. Still feel bad for the folks who do and still have to. But we were lucky enough that that didn't affect us at all.
Look who's on.
Hey, Harley. Hey, Jamie. Love you, girls. It's daughter day, so I already wished them a happy Daughter's Day.
Oh, nice. I thought I actually screwed up your Instagram in the bottom, because I have you scroll on the bottom there.
Oh, that's right. It's 2 C's. It's sync color.
Oh, my apologies. I can fix that right now.
Okay.
All right.
That's fine.
So basically, what inspired you to become a colorist?
I think any inker or colorist that was trying to break into the industry in the 90s wanted to break in as a penciler, and I think we all had samples of our pencil work and our ink work. And some of us, like me, had color work as well in their portfolios. And through the process of showing our portfolio to professionals and editors, you tend to figure out what your niche is going to be, what your specialty is going to be. For me, it was, I got critiqued. My pencils got critiqued, and my inks got critiqued every time. And every time the conversation ended with, "But I really like your colors." And so
really?
After a while, it actually bore into my brain that was what everybody liked, and that was what my strength was. And so shortly after what was then Homage Studios, where Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, and Will Portasio had their studios, had a talent search, and they were asking for writers and pencilers and inkers and colorists, and I just decided to send only color work, get into the industry that way, and eventually become a penciler and inker if that was going to be the way it was going to happen. And sure enough, I sent the samples in. A couple weeks later, I got a call from Jim inviting me to try and come join the studio, see if it worked out, and I could stay. And 29 years later, I'm still coloring. So it definitely was my thing.
Well, that's an incredible team, though. I mean, think about it. It was Scott on inks, and then you coloring. Oh, well, it's amazing. So, I mean, you do traditional colors too, as well, right? You don't just do digital.
Right. When I first started, all my samples were traditional colors because when I broke into the industry, uh, digital coloring was really not a thing. It was in its infancy stage, and in fact, I was brought in as the first digital colorist into Wildstorm, and
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
so I I along with John Nee, who was running Wildstorm for Jim, kind of figured out how to use Photoshop to color comics, and then as we hired more colorists, we kind of all helped create the method and the style for the studio.
How'd you get your deadlines done when you're trying to figure out the technological aspect of it? I mean, because you're used to traditional, and now here you are in a tech world.
Yeah, and I think while we were trying to figure things out, we would take on the more manageable deadlines while we were still farming out the color to different studios, and so that was one of the things that we definitely wanted to make sure we had the technique down and the system down before we took on a hard book like a Jim Lee kind of project. We wanted to make sure that we had it all down, we were solid with it before we even tried it.
Was it nerve-wracking for you trying to manage both, or are you good at tech? I mean, are you like me, really terrible?
No, I actually love tech. I always try new stuff. I was always trying new equipment, and so for me, it was a new challenge. Ended up treating the computer and Photoshop much like I did, when I was learning how to paint with oil paints or with watercolors. I just kind of approached it that way. I took it as a medium that I needed to tackle and master.
With the digital form, I mean, comparing it to traditional, do you miss, like, I mean, obviously a brush stroke is different sensation and pressure on the hand and the way you turn and, this, or, a pen or a pencil is different than digital to a degree, right? I mean, I know you're still coloring and you're still drawing, but texture-wise and like mechanically with your hand, it's different, right?
It's very similar now, and especially now that the brush engine in these digital painting programs is so advanced that you can recreate that look and feel of an oil paint or a watercolor digitally now. I work on a Cintiq, which is essentially a digital screen that I paint directly on, and it's at an angle much like a drafting table would be, so it replicates the painting style. The one difference is that when I'm working digitally, I can control everything 100% of the time and make it look the way I want it to. Whereas what I do love about the actual hand painted approach is that the medium itself challenges and changes and makes you adapt.
It's a one and done, right? You got to do it right the first time.
Yeah. And if you're working with watercolor, the pigment, the paint, the paper are actually creating obstacles and changes for you that you have to kind of go with and adapt to.
The only thing with digital, though, is you miss happy accidents. I mean, correct. As a musician, I've had happy accidents, and you sit and go, "Oh, I didn't mean that, but that came out fantastic."
Yeah. And you do have some here and there where you pick the wrong brush or the wrong color, and you make the stroke, and you realize, oh, actually, that looks kind of cool, and you kind of go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I was saying this on the last show too, they don't realize that colorists are artists. They think it's kind of like paint the numbers sometimes, I think, especially with the digital medium. They don't realize how involved it is. And I screwed up on the Twitter too.
Is Harley still correcting you? Harley, leave him alone.
No, it's good. But I was wondering if that was a mistake too. But she said the Instagram, so I was like, all right, maybe he left it. So let me fix it now. All right, it's a little simple fix. I appreciate it. We want you to get the right information out there. She's like, man, it's wrong. That's
the
good
perfectionist.
Support. Good support. All right, there we go. So what was I saying? So some people think they think it's like paint by the numbers, and they don't realize, I mean, everything that goes into coloring directly is related to the fact that you're an artist.
Right. And you have to understand all the concepts of art to be able to color, right? You have to know how to shade, you have to know how to light. When it comes to coloring, you have multiple light sources, you know how you need to manage them and produce them correctly on whatever it is that you're painting. So a strong art base is definitely one of the things that we look for when we're hiring any of the three artistic specialties, whether it's penciling, inking, or coloring. And in fact, it's the really successful pencilers, inkers, and colorists are the ones that have that well-rounded art background.
You got your family here.
Who else came by?
Harley is savage. I'm screaming.
Yeah.
No, honestly, Harley is great. I need to have the right information there for you to for people to know where to find you. So it's absolutely fine.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm the one who screwed up. How can I get upset if I'm the one who screwed up? Stealing third. Nah.
Yeah, that was the time.
Yeah. I'll explain what that is later, guys. Before we get a little further into the art aspect of things, there's a lot of people that came on and said hello. Keith Brunswick said to say hello. Oh, we have Blythe Sinclair.
Hello, Keith. So I have 4 daughters, and they're all here.
That is cool. That is cool. I better mind my P's and Q's, it looks like, though. Dante said he loves the lanterns display and your whole setup. Yeah, I saw you set up on another show, and I was like, oof. I just asked him before if he would adopt me, and that didn't go well. That's because he got 4 daughters, so that's enough, right?
That's right.
Lou said he loves your work.
Oh, thank you, Lou. Appreciate it.
John said hi. Heather said hello. Just giving a few shout-outs and say hi.
Yeah, of course.
We have a question from Steve. Steve is an illustrator himself. He did some movies, actually, like The Iron Giant. But anyway.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Alex and Brother Phil. Question. I'm unfamiliar with how the pipeline works for colorists. When you have an assignment, do you do a few pages and get them checked to make sure you're on the right path as far as style? Or you do a color comp through the entire book? Or?
I just color them and turn them in, really. If I'm lucky, the pages get turned in sequence from page 1 to 22. But some artists like to bounce around. So what really helps me the most is the script. So I'll read the script with the art as much as possible. And as I'm reading the script and looking at the art, I'm already kind of creating the palettes for each scene within the book. And so my approach is I like to color each story by scene. So even if that scene's broken up throughout the book, with a couple pages here, 3 there, and 4 over there, I color them all at the same time, or one after the other, to keep a consistency within each scene, so that as you're moving through the story and you're switching locations or scenes, you immediately know that you've switched the scene and that scene was part of the one that was 4 pages ago, because the palette, the lighting, and the approach are the exact same as they were a couple pages ago.
Now, do you have an editorial process in yourself that where you might see an inconsistency in a background with pencilers or something? Like maybe, you're in the same background and they only move slightly, and you notice that maybe the background doesn't line up right. Do you ever see that and say to the artist, the penciler or the inker,
It rarely happens. I'm lucky enough to work with artists who are very consistent in obviously changing the background if that's what it calls for, or keeping it the exact same if it's the same location and the same angle. So I rarely see it. I have seen it before, and you just end up kind of coloring it a little bit differently to help it rotate if it needs to, or just kind of drop into the background a little bit more if it needs to. So kind of a thing you de-emphasize it so that the reader doesn't catch that flaw.
I have to tell you, the work you're doing over Ivan for Superman, I mean, he's got Superman back to looking humble and the way I love Superman, and your colors are just bringing everything out. And I'm partially colorblind, so I told this to Chris, if your colors come out, then apparently you're doing something right, because I see something. So.
Well, thank you. I'm having a blast with Ivan. It's been 3 years, and it's been the fastest 3 years on a project I've ever been on, and I would do 3 more easily if Ivan was to stay on the book. I would stay with him. He's such a great penciler. His acting of his characters is so solid, so emotive, that it really helps me when it comes to creating mood. A lot of it is already in the pencils and in the inks, and Joe Prado inks him perfectly. Danny Mickey's inking him right now in the last few issues.
I didn't even realize that.
And Danny is doing a bang up job.
He's one of the best inkers. He doesn't get a lot of credit, though.
Yeah, and so it's great. to have, you know, that much talent ahead of you, so that it makes my job a lot easier. It definitely really works as an anchor, and it inspires me, because whenever I'm having a slow day, I just look at that art and go, oh yeah, I definitely want to work now.
I love the expressions Ivan puts on Superman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But getting back to the art aspect, I mean, you have
Sure.
to understand anatomy too. I mean,
Yeah.
to know how the body would be shaded, you know, in light sources, and you know, how do you deal with multiple light sources? I mean, like, because you know, I know the inkers are coming in and they're doing the shading, but like Geraldo Borges, when they was doing a picture of Green Lantern with his ring out, there was a light source behind him, but I forgot about the light from the ring. I wouldn't have
Right.
even thought of that. Like, do you ever catch things like that, or you know, that you wind up adding in, or?
Yeah, I actually like bouncing light a lot, and so that's kind of one of the things I'm known for. Is there's always a little bit of light reflecting from somewhere else. It's a reflective shadow, or reflective light source, and something that I kind of borrowed from classical artists like Van Gogh, who way back then was doing that kind of work, and bouncing that light with color. And so it wasn't just white light; it was colored light, and I really love how he did that. And so that's something that I like to bring to my work. It's something that Joe Chido is definitely well known for, and he's my biggest influence in color that I've ever had.
Okay. And who influenced you as far as like pencil art or painting, at least, you know, things like that?
Classically, I mean, I loved, like Van Gogh. I've mentioned the Impressionists. I really uh, when realism went out the door, and color became what created the mood, the impression. That's something that really spoke to me. So I'm a big fan of the Impressionists. And then the High Renaissance I'm huge on, and they're realists. And I kind of think the High Renaissance is very akin to comic book work, in that it's hyper realist. Everything has to look as if it really existed. And so those are probably the two classical influences as far as my drawing for comics. You know, I loved artists like Neil Adams and Mike Zeck, and it's this kind of amalgam of everybody, right? I love Walt Simonson, and I never could ever draw like he does, but his drawings have so much energy that it is one of the coolest things to see. And then of course Jim.
Right.
Jim's one of the reasons so many artists are in this, trying to break into the industry now. In the 90s, it really, his work is so prolific and so exciting that we all want to be able to draw like that.
But I've seen your art. You're really good.
Well, I
And
appreciate
you're very
that.
detailed. I mean, I saw you drawing some animals and the texture to the fur, and I mean, you're really good at adding texture to whatever you're drawing. You know, making that 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional. When you're not coloring for comics, do you draw? Do you paint on your own time, or?
I do. I draw. I paint. It's not going to be a comic book character or a superhero or anything like that. It's going to be wildlife, like you mentioned, animals and stuff like that. It was what I was painting in college before I decided to change my portfolio and streamline it for comics. And it's something that's always been dear to me. I love drawing them. I love going to the zoo and draw them. And I used to teach art classes at the San Diego Zoo here. So
Nice.
it's definitely a genre that I'm very attached to, and so that when I get to draw for myself, that's what I go to. And you know, I definitely don't do it digitally either, because since I do digital all day every day, when I break away from it, I want something different so that I can kind
A
of
little more organic, keep your
that
chops
muscle.
up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of wild animals and zoos, do you draw from real life people?
Sometimes. Yeah, portraits is not something that I do a lot, since I do it all day. I render faces all day.
Right.
But there's a few portraits out there in my house of my daughters that I've done over the years.
So, any inker that's not Scott Williams or Joe Prado, do you have a favorite inker that you've like another inker that you've enjoyed really working with and coloring over?
Well, Klaus Janson is one of my idols of inking, and he's such a great guy, and I'm lucky that I've gotten to work with him. You know, growing up reading books and being a fan of his work, and then meeting him, getting to know him as the great, cool guy that he is, and then eventually working with him on on Dark Knight with Frank Miller was probably a highlight career for me. Dick Giordano is another inker whose work I loved and admired growing up as a reader. Current inkers, I mean, Sandra Hope is definitely from the Wildstorm alumni.
Yeah.
Richard Friend is an amazing inker himself.
He's incredible.
And Danny Mickey, I got to work with on Superman Year One last year, and then now I'm working with him again on Superman. The guy's a chameleon. And that's cool to see in an inker and how he or she adapts to that next penciler and really helps accentuate that art.
Nice. We have a question from Lou.
Okay.
Also, I know you have worked on Astro City, which is Kurt Busiek's. Did you enjoy working on that title book, and would you like to work on another Astro City or neat title from that storyline?
I love Astro City. It has a very special place in my heart. It's the first title that I worked on regularly. It's the title that put my name on the map. Kurt has always treated me with respect and as an equal and as a collaborator. And so I will continue to work on Astro City for as long as Kurt will let me, move in my bags into town. So I know there's plans for it in the future, and I'm hitching my wagon to that train.
By the way, your daughters are having a nice conversation.
Oh God,
it's great.
Feel free to bounce them off.
No, not at all. They're doing great here. I don't know who Bruce is, but he's click-clacking around. Pick him up.
So Bruce is our 9-month-old Rottweiler.
Oh, okay. Well, he's click-clacking.
Yeah, he was. She's right. It was Bruce with his new chew toy.
As long as it wasn't your shoe.
No.
Lou also asked, did you first work on color guides to learn the color codes first?
Yes. So when I was showing my portfolio around with colors, when I decided, okay, I think color is the way to go, the main question I would get is, do you know how to code? And back then, what that means is back then when we were coloring by hand, you had a palette of 378 colors, and each color had a code. So that even if you used, whatever skin tone marker you used, or pencil or ink or wash, you had to code it to a specific color that you wanted used. And so I had to teach myself how to code. Adrian Roy, who is a very well-known colorist in the industry from those days, she helped me understand coding, and I finally figured it out. I coded my samples that I sent into the Homage Studios talent search, were all coded. And the first thing that Jim said to me on the phone was, "Well, we don't code anymore. We color digitally." It's like, really? I just figured it out.
Well, that's how it always works, right?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, you're talking about you don't do much self-portrait. If you colored me, I'm Irish, so you just pale white or red. That's really all you've got to work with. That's your canvas.
It's a lot of bouncing light there.
Yeah. We have a lot of colorists in here.
Oh, cool.
Sigmund Tor, is it Tor or Torre? I'm sorry, I don't know. But Sigmund, he did some work for DC.
Okay.
And he's really, really an excellent colorist. So he said hello.
Hello. Thanks for coming
Sid
out.
she just graduated the Kubert School, and she's an amazing artist. She's in Chile right now.
I
Yeah,
love the
she's
Kubert
very
School.
talented. Very talented. Russ Cassidy, he said that your classes have been awesome.
Thank you. And thanks for taking those. We appreciate your support there.
He said you're a good guy. Did you pay him?
Thank you.
Okay.
He definitely paid me. No.
Chance Wolf said, "I love your work,
Chance.
man."
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, just catching up on a few of these.
Sure.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with that 1,000%. Love to see Alex cover. I'd love to see you over Brett Booth, and Adelso Corona has been inking him and doing a great job. Adelso is actually inking this piece that you're going to color for me, so you are going to color over Adelso.
Cool.
So you'll kind of get a little there, Russ. You won't get Brett Booth on it, but you'll get Adelso.
Well, and I was lucky enough to get to color over Brett back when we were all part of the Wildstorm group in his early days. In fact, the very first thing that saw print that I colored was a solicitation ad in previews for Backlash #1, and it was Brett Booth art.
Oh, I didn't know that. I gotta look at that.
So that
He's
was
one of my favorite artists.
That was the very first thing that I colored that I got paid for, that saw print.
Oh, cool.
So, again, Brett and I go a long way back, and we've worked together on many, many projects over the years. We haven't recently. I'd love to work with him again.
Well, tell him to come to my show. I talked to Spencer about it, and I'm hoping to get him at a future show. So
that'd be great. It
would be awesome. Are you kidding me? And Ian Churchill, too. Oh, the two of them. Oh, I love those guys.
Yes.
Steve has another question. You mentioned that you taught classes. Have you ever put out a digital class series of sorts out on DVD or for download on coloring? And do you want to? Because that would be killer.
Well, thank you. Right now, we're doing some online classes. We're called the Comic Pro Bootcamp. And it's Ryan Benjamin, Will Portasio, Carlos Deanda, and I, and we teach the comic book drawing class. And we call it a boot camp because pre-COVID, we would come over, meet over a weekend, let's say at a hotel, and we'd sit there and we'd give you a project and a deadline, and we'd teach you how to, lay out, sketch, pencil, ink, and color in that weekend. And it was very boot camp style because you were on it the whole time. You draw it, we'd come critique it, redraw it, critique it, redraw it, critique it, get it right, pencil it, critique it, pencil it, ink it, and all that. So it's very hands-on, and so we're trying to replicate that feel with our classes, and so we teach in a very different way. It's a live class where the students watch us do the work, interact with the questions. Sometimes they get to draw and we critique on the spot, and then we have a homework assignment and they come back, and then we talk about the homework in the second session. But it's a very personal one-on-one kind of a experience with hopefully each and every student that takes the course.
And you also are a guest teacher on other courses for other people too sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'm also in talks to possibly do like a book through Kickstarter about not necessarily my techniques, which they will be included, but more about my approach and my methods of how and why I color the way I do.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that'd be very informative.
Yeah.
Apparently it's Sigmund Torre, and he says he's a big fan of.
Thank you, Sigmund. Appreciate it.
And he's really a talented colorist too. So
thank you so much.
Your daughter, what is your favorite Wildstorm memory?
I don't think I can talk about it.
Is that why she's put it out there? She's trying to put you on the spot?
Yeah, she is. No,
that's it. Throw him under the bus. Go for it.
You know what? There's so many of them. We always goofed around with each other. I think one of my favorite ones involves Alex Gardner. He is.
Was it Alex Sinclair?
Yeah, I almost said Alex Sinclair. Alex Gardner is a very talented inker turned cover painter. So he's doing covers for Marvel and DC right now and doing an amazing job of it. But we were messing around. He was back then. Photoshop had one undo. So if you double clicked something, you were lost. You had to start over. And so Alex, in his fun way of messing with me, would bump my elbow and I'd mess up and I'd be like, oh, dude, don't do it. And he did like 3 times. I'd do one more time. I dare you to do one more time. And he did. And so the next day I came in early and I disassembled his drafting table and his chair and left it all there for him for the screwdriver. And I said, there you go. Told ya.
That is great. That is awesome. You're much nicer than me because I would have just loosened the chair. So he sat down, and then he would have messed up on it, and he would have had to start over. This kind of answers the question, but Keith said, did you guys have competition between Extreme guys?
Oh, we did. The pencilers did, the inkers did, the color departments did. We all were kind of, what are they doing? And they'd be checking out what we were doing. And so there was definitely, it was a friendly competition. I think, definitely fueled by numbers of who sold more and what came out first and who stayed on time and who shipped late and all that stuff. We were definitely very aware of what they were doing, and they knew exactly what we were doing too.
Yeah, Russ Cassidy was bringing up that I had Murat as a guest, Murat Michael.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about especially him and Dan Fraga Is it Fraga or Fraga? I never know.
Fraga.
Fraga. Okay.
Fraga boom.
How they would go at it a lot. He
Yeah.
said he punched him in the face.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And that's within Extreme. I don't think we ever had any fights like that in the studio, to be honest.
Well, that's pretty funny though. So, how long does it take you to color a page for a book?
It depends on the page. I mean, definitely a Jim Lee page will take longer than, say, like an Amanda Connor page, or even say like a Kevin McGuire page, and that's because there's more detail, there's more stuff going on. It also depends on the mood. For whatever reason, like Amanda's pages are so fun that they just kind of, and so I color them really vividly that they just kind of happen fast for me. Where with Jim, I'm definitely focused on it. And you got to make sure that everything's, spot on, because the pencils are perfect and the inks are perfect, and I got to come in and if I'm not perfect myself, it's going to show. And so I think maybe a little bit of the stress of that slows me down a little bit.
I saw Scott Williams. I mean, obviously he's been penciling a lot lately. He's been,
Yes.
he's been loving that and enjoying that. And I have to say, I've been enjoying it because now you see why he can ink Jim Lee the way he does, because he can draw like Jim Lee. I mean, he's an amazing artist.
Yeah. Well, what's great is that everybody knows what all of us at the studio knew, is that the Scott is a solid penciler.
Oh, he's
a solid artist, period. And so, that's what makes him such a great inker, is that he, at his core, he's an amazing penciler.
I wonder if he's going to try to do some sequentials at some point. I know he's doing covers, but
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's what he would like. But never say never, right? I think he's a guy that loves a challenge, and I wouldn't say no.
Sigmund said he just leave this here for you to go take a look at any point you if you could.
Is that your portfolio? Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Get him some work at DC again. Nana and Tata say hola.
That's my parents. They're probably watching.
Oh, nice. Honored. All right. Cool. They're all taking notes. Spelled Sinclair color wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
There was one C because it's Irishman here. Damn it. And then there was the dog making noise. Let's take notes for the next show.
Yeah.
So what has been your favorite title or book that you've worked on thus far in your long career? Oof. If you can narrow it down.
There's a few. I mean, I mentioned Astro City because of Kurt, because of Brent, because of Alex on it, because of even Richard Starkings and so it's this really cool kind of team mentality. And I think the books that stand out are the ones that have created that for me. It's felt like a team. It's felt like a family. So Astro City is one of them. The stuff that I worked with Jim and Scott, especially Hush, which was the one book that launched our kind of team up, our grouping as penciler, inker, and colorist. And we've done many other things together that I'm proud of, that I'm happy, that I'm more than happy to show people that work. And Blackest Night is probably the hardest book I've ever worked on.
Someone mentioned it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Amazing
and
book.
So Blackest Night is definitely one that introduced and allowed me to play to color Ivan Rice and Eau Claire and work with Jeff Johns as well. And so it's, again, it had that feel of unity, of everything felt right, looked right. And it was hard work for me. But at the end, it's work that I'm very proud of. Nice. And then right now, that's happening with Superman. Bendis, Ivan, Joe, even the editorial group that's working on the title is incredible. And so it's work that I'm proud and excited to work on each and every month.
I reached out to Brian. He said he was interested, but he wasn't sure when he can commit. So unless you decide to steal third, tell him it's worth it. Come out. Joe Prado will be on the show, actually.
Oh,
Joe
cool.
will be next month. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, I mean, at this point, a lot of people talk about creative teams that are legendary. You've got your Burns and Claremonts and things like that. How do you feel when you hear that you're one of those legendary creative teams, part of it with Jim and Scott? I mean, how does that feel to know that you're one of those going down in history as the Hall of Famers in the industry.
It's humbling. It's weird. It's like really, you really think that? Because I think we. It's not that we don't take it seriously, but we just enjoy the work so much, and we enjoy working with each other so much that it's cool that people think that way about it. That put us on that high of a pedestal. That it's, like I said, it's humbling. I love hearing it because it's nice to know that people appreciate the work that goes into it. We're not just kind of doing whatever. We definitely think about each project as we work on it. We put our best out in order the best possible that we can create at each page, each cover.
Some of the great stuff you've done recently was that Joker cover with just his face, and then Batman and Catwoman face to face in the rain. I mean, just some incredible stuff. Oh, and by the way, my daughters are asleep, but they wanted to say hello and thank you again for the prints that you gave them. Yeah,
you're welcome.
At the show.
Please tell them I say hello.
Yeah, Alex and Scott were at the show, and they were very kind. You guys were really cool. I appreciated that. And taking a shot in a little small one-day show, you didn't know what you were walking into. It could have been a crap fest. It could have been a steel third, but it wasn't, hopefully.
We had a great time.
So good. I'm glad. But they said, I had to show them your picture because they're young and say, remember him? And they go, yeah, tell them we said hi, thank you. Can we stay up and watch him? No, go to bed. No.
Well, tell them I say hi, hello, if you guys watch it tomorrow.
I'll let them know. Because my oldest loves Wonder Woman. So,
cool.
Yeah. So let's do this. This is Andy Lee. Hi, Alex. Do you have a favorite on-screen TV or movie portrayal of any of the the Super family?
I loved the Christopher Reeve Superman as a kid, but I feel that Henry Cavill was born to play Superman. Once you saw him in the suit, you're like, oh my God, that's it right there. He's it. And so that Super family, he's definitely my favorite. Henry Cavill.
See, I really like him too. I just think they have to write him a little lighter. They have to write him less dark and more the humble, noble Superman that we love, the humble pie.
Yeah.
And you saw that with Joss Whedon towards the end of Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you saw it in the writing in the flashback scenes of when he was a kid with his dad, Kevin Costner. There's some great, really father-son moments there, and I think if they could have carried that over to when he was an adult, maybe share it with his mom, and there was some of that too. I think when he spoke to his mom, you really saw his human side, and I think that's what makes Cavill such a great Superman, is that he can flip it, look like a human, and then 10 seconds later he's Superman. This unbeatable, this guy that can do it all.
I think that we're going to see the Superman that we were expecting. I think Snyder purposely was setting it up that he didn't just come out humble pie. He had to go through the trials of humanity, feeling different and alienated and feeling doubt, and because he wasn't really Superman yet in Man of Steel, Right. But when you saw him at Justice League, and I know Whedon took over, he started to be this. He started to realize his calling. Yeah. And I expect to see that, hopefully if he signs for, actual Superman movies, not just cameos.
Right.
So that'd be cool.
I agree 100%.
So, I mean, obviously you're doing Superman. You've done so many major characters, Batman, etc. What's a character that you haven't done that you would love to do?
Maybe the characters that I haven't gotten to do at all. So like Legion of Superheroes, we've done some covers for them. It would be a hard book to work on because of the amount of characters involved, and so that would be a cool challenge. I did a short run on Justice Society of America a few years back with Jeff Johns and I apologize for forgetting his name.
Is it Freddie Williams?
No, Dave Inglesham.
Okay.
And so I think going back to JSA with someone would be great. I would love to do that. And then beyond that, it would be Marvel characters, and mostly because I haven't gotten to work on the Marvel side of things. So Daredevil is my favorite Marvel character. X-Men would be great. And so I think something like that would be the logical response, and mostly because I haven't gotten to work on Marvel titles.
I know we won't see it, but I would love to see a return of Jim Claremont, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair on my favorite book, The
That
X-Men. I'd love to see you color them. I'd love to see it.
I'd be down 100% for that too.
See you color my favorite characters, Nightcrawler and Colossus, and I'd be set. Or Phoenix with Big Firebird. Oh, it would be awesome.
See, Colossus is my favorite X-Men too.
Yeah, that'd be great. You'd have him shiny and like.
Yes,
oh.
it's the chrome.
Keith and Darth America have similar questions. Keith asks, "Who's your favorite character you like?" And I think you just said Daredevil from Marvel, but and Darth America asks, "Who's your favorite and least favorite character to color?"
Okay. So my favorite character growing up and now Hassan is and always probably will be Batman. As a kid, I loved him, and as an adult, I continue to love him. And he's a character that I love working on, and so definitely Batman. My least favorite, who is it? For the longest time, it was Wonder Woman, and it was because of the different she's got a ton of colors and a ton of textures in her outfit. But when they redesigned the suit for the movie, I kind of fell in love with the character again because it became a cooler approach to the suit. And
right.
I think that made it more fun for me to color. I think where before everything was bright and shiny and it's hard to work with a character like that. Like Superman used to be really hard for me to color because he's wearing the primary colors. And so when you have a character like that, how do you hide him in a scene where he's not the principal character?
Right.
So he used to be someone that I also had a hard time with, but now someone that I look forward to coloring every month. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that I don't like to color. That's a hard one. I think like probably like the ones that are too easy to color. Maybe it's something that you don't.
Moon Knight.
There's no. You're right. Well, and Moonlight's kind of like the anti-Batman, right? He's white.
Yeah.
Like, but how do you hide him? How do you hide him at night?
But he's probably more of what Batman should be if you think about it. He's a little crazy. I mean, you got to be crazy to be Batman doing what Batman's doing. Yeah. You kind of there's a fine line between Batman and his rogues gallery himself.
Yeah.
So and now to Keith's question, is there a favorite character that you have just as a fan?
It's Batman. Still Batman, my favorite character. Just if you look around my office, you definitely would know that it's Batman.
So how is that to be a big fan of a character who has this long mythos, this large mythos, and now you're part of it?
It's weird. It's super cool. I mean, as a fan, it's like, woo, you pinch yourself because you it's a dream come true. And as a pro, it's cool to be able to have that as an option to be able to work on a character that you've loved growing up, that you admired, and then now you get to add to that mythos, as you mentioned. It's cool to be part of that.
So, besides Superman, are there any other projects coming up? Any other books that you're going to be doing, working on regularly, or? So
we're on the last couple issues of Batman's Grave, which is. Batman's Grave's on its last couple issues. That's Brian Hitch. Warren Ellis is writing that, and it's a great story. The art's incredible by Brian. It's a really cool detective story with some really cool fight choreography that Brian's been doing on that.
Nice.
So I've enjoyed that. It's almost done. I'm moving on to another project with Brian after this, and I don't know if I can talk about it. So
we'll just keep an eye out. Is there like a time frame when there might be an announcement for it, or?
I'm not sure. I've already agreed to do it with Brian, and I think Brian will start it as soon as he's done with Batman's Grave, which he's got one more issue to pencil. So
I don't want you getting screamed at by anybody.
Sorry guys.
He teased you. Sorry guys.
And then I'm also working on Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey with Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, and that book is a blast. It's a blast because it's a Black Label book, and so they get to write Harley the way they've always wanted to, and she cusses, and there's innuendo, and there's everything that Jimmy and Amanda love to do, and it's a blast to work on that character with them, because you feel the love that they put into it, and you just want to add to that love with some of your own.
Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot to say what project. Was there ever a project that your heart really wasn't into it? And I'm not asking what project, but if there was, how did you get past that to get the job done?
It was most of, I think when I was trying to break into DC, I got some projects initially that were not necessarily as exciting, but you do them because you want to show that you're willing to do what it takes to get the work done and do it, your best work, to show that you're a professional, that you can get it done, even though the project is not necessarily selling tens of thousands,
Right.
but you want to make sure that you're treating it like it is. So some of those weren't, but I like them because that project led to that project, that led to that project, that got me to this, and that led to Hush, or that led to this, right? And so you see it as a building block, and so you appreciate it for what it was and for what it helped you achieve. And there was one project where I was really excited going into it. I really wanted to give it my best, and then the interaction with the creative team was not what I thought it was going to be, and it was very disappointing, and just kind of felt unappreciated side of it. And so I had
does that deflate you, or does that motivate you?
It deflates you in that your voice isn't heard, and so you know what you can bring to it, and when they don't care to hear that, then it's like, well, it doesn't matter who does it for them. They just want someone who's going to do what they want, and in a collaborative medium, that's something that's not conducive to what comics should be.
I think as the colorist, you're probably treated like the drummer of the band. And I'm the drummer.
I always thought the drummer was the cool guy in the band.
Well, I mean, I like colorists, but I don't know. I'm usually the roadie. They treat me like the damn roadie. So, I get it. The lead singer and the lead guitarist get all the praise, and there's a drummer, drum monkey, drum. So let me ask you two questions, and I'm going to get to Sid's question.
Sure.
Batman. I love the Neil Adams, the gray with the yellow. I mean, I know it was like colors all over the place, but I love that Batman. Do you like that suit? Would you love to color that suit, or do you like the modern Batman that you've been coloring?
I love, and maybe I'm partial to this because of I love the Hush Batman. I love the big bat, the gray, and the burnt blue on the suit. So black and gray to me is a little too much, but that dark blue on the gray is the gray. I do love the yellow shield because that's what I read growing up. Neil Adams, definitely one of my favorite Batman artists of all time.
Here, yellow belt, black, gray, blue. It was a mess. But
it was indicative of that time, right? The 70s. It was a yellow belt was perfect.
Yeah.
And now it's this kind of ochre orangish color, so that it blends in a little bit more.
It's more military looking. You didn't have the little capsule things. Now you've got pouches, like the Rob Liefeld pouches. You got to have pouches.
Well, he doesn't have that.
Little marbles that blow up and make smoke. So what was it like when you got the call to do Batman?
It was very cool. It was I had been doing a lot of freelance work on my own with DC at the time, and so I wasn't doing that much work with Wildstorm directly. I was really only doing Astro City for Wildstorm because that was part of the Homage label, and I was also working on Harley Quinn with Terry Dodson and Carl Kiesel and Rachel Dodson, and Jim and Scott got slated to do the run on Batman, which became Hush. And they asked if I wanted to join them on their run. They wanted one colorist to keep it consistent, to make a team out of it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like,
yeah, I'll pass.
It's like, when do you want me to start? Kind of a thing. What do I need to do? And so we did the Just Imagine Wonder Woman issue with Stan Lee as a kind of practice run together to see if we could figure out the look and the feel that we were going to use for Hush. And so it was very cool. I thought it was, another book I was going to do, and San Diego Comic-Con happened right before I was going to color the first issue. And that's when I realized how big that project had become. And so I got a little bit of stage fright. I got a little kind of nervous. My colors for the first few pages were a little kind of not my best work. And Jim and Scott called me into their office and to Scott's office. And they said, hey, we saw the pages. We want to show you some work from this guy that we want you to kind of emulate, because we think that's the kind of work that we want to see in this book. And they showed me my own work, and it was one of the coolest moments I've ever gone through.
I knew you were going to say it was your work.
Yeah. And so
okay?
that woke me up. and then 12 issues later, that we had our full run of Batman.
I love stories like that. I love the inspiration, and I just saw it in your face. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Did Jim and Scott ever say what made them pick you out of everybody to try to do the project?
They said they really liked what I'd been doing in Harley Quinn. They said that it was that feel, that look, that what I had gotten to as a colorist is I think what they wanted me to do on the book as well.
See, at moments like that, people don't realize how quickly something can change in your life. And a moment like that, look where it catapulted you. Your confidence they had in you and the team you created. So that's amazing. That's awesome. I love that stuff. I love hearing stuff like that. Human stories. Sid, what's a good way to do warm-ups before starting to color? How do you get ready before starting a page?
If I'm doing interior work, I really do. I read the script and I look at the interior art for the entire book. I really want to know what I'm going to be doing for the whole book. I think it's vital in that you're telling a story over 22 pages, so that if you just work on a page and a page and a page and a page, you'll lose track of the big picture. So I think if you pull back, you look at the whole picture and then break it down. That's probably the best thing to do. Warm-up wise. Sometimes I don't have time to warm up. I just kind of go. And sometimes warm up means like looking through, a stack of images from the Van Gogh Museum and get inspiration from that, and seeing palettes pulled from that, or flipping through Instagram and kind of going down rabbit holes of really cool artists and their stuff they're doing. That kind of builds up the inspiration, and then you just sit down and it just kind of comes out.
Have you ever thought about your own create-your-own series at some point of something?
I have a couple ideas that I would like to do.
If they're not copyrighted, don't share them.
Well, it's something that I haven't really. It's an idea and a concept, and I kind of need to figure out where it's going, because I can definitely take it a superhero way, or I can take it my own way that's not superheroes. But it's something that's aimed more for a teen audience, a younger audience, a young adult audience, and it's something that I think I would love to work on if maybe in conjunction with one or more of my daughters. That'd be a cool thing to do.
Let's do it, right? Everybody, you should do it. Absolutely.
That's right.
No time like today.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I'm sure you'll get a lot of backing if you do a Kickstarter or something. I don't think you'll have to worry about that. We have a few people coming in late. Sorry I'm late. Hey, Phil. Hey, Alex. That's Enrique. He's an inker.
Hi, Enrique.
Artist, of course. Veer is a fan. Sorry I'm late. Hey, you guys. And then he was asking to see your studio. He wanted a studio tour. Listen, if you want a studio tour, he did another show just recently, and he actually shows his studio there. Go on YouTube, look for Alex Sinclair's last show that he did, and you'll get the studio tour. You don't get to come in late and make the bands, buddy, okay? Steve Garcia, when the pencilers and or inkers are dragging their heels, cutting into your time in the book, what's the quickest you've had to do a color job? What's your tightest timeline that you've had?
I've had a few. I've gotten pages at like 10 a.m. and I have to turn it in by noon. And so,
Are you serious?
Yes. And so we make it happen, right? People, when you asked me earlier, how long does it take you to color a page? And I think the deadline dictates that. If I have a week to do 20 pages, then I have to color 4 pages a day. If I have 10 pages and they're due on Monday, then I have to do 5 pages a day. And so really the deadline will dictate the speed that I have to go in. But thankfully I've gotten myself to a point where I can pretty well guesstimate how long a book's going to take me based on seeing the art.
Do you learn any tricks of the trade where you kind of take safe, healthy shortcuts to get a book done?
No, I mean I think the best thing is that I color by scene, so that it speeds me up in that I'm using the same colors and palette through the entire scene, and then switching to a new scene, and then going from that. It keeps me from trying to remember what I had done a few pages ago. That's definitely my biggest. The other speed things that I do are more technical, like hotkeys in Photoshop, or using a programmable keyboard instead of the keyboard when I work. Those are little technical things that I picked up over the years that I use.
Andy Lee, let's do this, was asking, speaking of Hush, I'd imagine Batman 608 is one of the most requested books to be signed by you at conventions. Is that true? It
is. Continues to be, and probably will be.
Are you okay with that, or?
Oh yeah.
You're not typecast or anything, right?
Nah.
I never understand that. Listen, typecast me as whoever the hell you want. If I get to play around for and be get that notoriety for something, I'll typecast the hell out of me. I don't care.
That's right. I'm okay. I'm okay being known as the guy that colored Hush. So.
Exactly. Keith was asking, what kind of movies do you like, and do you have a favorite that you can rewatch all the time?
I like a lot of different genres. Musicals, not so much, but definitely action, sci-fi, the comic book movies. My favorite movie of all time is Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's one of my top 2. I love that movie.
So I can watch that movie, 3 times in a row. But I also love, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Braveheart, Gladiator, that kind of stuff, Saving Private Ryan. So I love World War II movies. I can watch those all day, every day.
My favorite take from Shawshank: get busy living or get busy dying. You're damn right.
That's right.
I love that. Your daughters are in here. Veer asked, who are some of the artists that have caught your eye other than the usual suspects?
Some of the artists, I mean, it kind of through the years, many recently, Jorge Jimenez is doing some amazing work for DC. He's on the Batman book right now. He did Super Sons. He worked on Justice League, and his stuff has evolved. It's very new, very different, very dynamic, and it's definitely something that's really cool to see in an industry where people have long careers, have a young artist come in and really just kind of show everybody up, and that's what kind of raises everybody's level, right? They're like, oh yeah, these young guys are coming in, let's definitely raise our level too.
There's a local artist here. He goes, actually, he's with Comic Sketch Art. He goes by Crease. Mm-hmm. He's so good. A lot of people nicknamed him like Little Jim Lee or something like that. I don't know, but he's really talented. I expect you to see him and know him someday. Yeah. Your daughters are asking questions. Favorite Disney Pixar movie? Oh,
it's Ratatouille. They just want me to say it out loud.
What is your favorite Batman statue that's currently in your office?
It's like asking me which one of your 4 is my favorite.
I love that they're coming out here and
you really don't want to know, do you?
Lou asked some questions that I apparently didn't get to, so I'm being asked to ask them again. So let's see. Phil, can you ask a question from before regarding advice on inking because of my shoulder problems, but and how I've ruined multiple artworks? I've tried inking because of my apparently he has an injury to his shoulder and it's affected his ability. I guess he's asking you how to overcome that, if you would know.
I'm not sure if like physical therapy would help with that. I know that like Scott Williams had back problems and he was considering retiring, period, and he realized that he could buy a setup where he has this zero gravity chair, and so that he works not suspended, but all the weight's kind of taken off his back, and he worked with a lap board, and his inking, you can tell the difference.
Scott Hanna said the same thing in my first episode, that his back was bad and that he got a chair like that and that helps. So that's two major inkers in the industry telling you that.
Yeah, and his work is just as amazing as it was, from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's a sign of a true great artist that they just kind of adapt to the situation, and it's not the tool that you use, because he can't use pen and ink and an inkwell because of the angle that he's sitting at.
Right.
He has to use preloaded pens, but it's true testament that it's not the tool, it's the artist.
Have you learned a lot about inking having worked with him, and has he learned a lot of coloring? Do you guys cross like that, or is it just I'm doing what I'm doing, you're doing what you're doing?
We know it. I think we say this to each other a lot. It's like, I don't know what the heck you're gonna do, but I can't wait to see what you do. And so that's probably one of my favorite things about working with Jim and Scott, is getting those boards to scan, and not only seeing it before I scan it, but once I scan it, I get to blow it up and just see the madness of the cross hatching, and just tell him, just text them and go, my God, man, what is it? How do you not go nuts or blind or both? And he says the same thing. Oh, I saw that, and all I could think was like, well, I don't know what the hell Alex is gonna do, but that's his job.
That's his problem.
Yeah. So we both really, really respect each other and are thankful that the other exists, so that we don't have to do each other's job.
Do you guys get to see each other a lot, or you both live in California, right? So
Scott lives 3 blocks away.
Oh, that's nice.
So we see each other during deadlines. We joke because towards the beginning of the deadline, we're both clean shaven, happy, and then as the inking deadline ends, he looks less shaven, less clean, and I'm still okay. And then it's kind of this reverse thing. When he turns in the last page, it's kind of like, it's on you now, and he goes to his happy place, and now you start the deterioration process.
So why didn't you guys fly in together when you came to my show?
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember what. There was something different about. He had to do something else, or he had to come in earlier, or I had to come in earlier. I can't remember. There was a scheduling conflict with one of us, but we did fly out together because I drove him back to New York.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were also really cool and with the flight, and thank you. You're really cool about that.
Of course.
It was really nice. Not everybody thinks like that.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
You're welcome.
You were an awesome guest. You guys, I mean, you were busy. So Lou had another question. I better ask her or I'm going to get in trouble. Phil, I also asked if Alex has to get in a different headspace when working on different projects, such as his works in Astral City, compared to working on Blackest Night or First Wave.
Definitely. The techniques are all different from artist to artist, and then from mood to mood, right? So when I go from working on Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, everything's chaotic and crazy and saturated and bright. And then I switch to Batman's Grave, where everything's like desaturated and moody, and it's suspense and it's fights and it's night and so definitely the mood changes. I approach it differently. It's weird. One of the things I've never noticed is if I watch different TV, sometimes I tend to watch comedies while I'm doing Batman's Grave because it's so kind of morose. And then I watch the drama stuff when I'm doing Harley Quinn because it's so crazy and chaotic. So I think I kind of do a negative flip
to balance you out.
What I'm watching, so what's on TV as I'm working to balance my mind.
Okay, not bad. All right, we got some more. Oh, we're talking about musicals. Vera said you don't like musicals. You see Phil. I can sing. I'll have you know.
It's a musical tragedy.
I can sing really well. I'll have you know. As a matter of fact, that song in the intro, I wrote and performed, pal. But of course, Andy edited out my lyrics, so you wouldn't know. But that's fine.
Too funny.
I know. That's fine. I know.
That's right. As long as you know.
My mommy said I'm good. My mommy tells me I'm a good singer, and I know I am. All right.
That's the ringtone on our phone, right?
Yeah. Oh my Lord. Anyway, Geraldo Borges is in here. How are you? I don't know if we already talked
Hello.
about it, but what tips could you give for colorists who want to break in?
The biggest tip I can give you is color someone else's work. Don't color your own work, right? It'll allow you to focus on the coloring itself, because I know from coloring my own stuff that at the coloring stage is I'm fixing what I messed up in the pencils and the inks. I'm fixing it with color because I know that's my strongest specialty. So if I'm coloring someone else's work, I can focus on just the color. And when I show that to an editor or an artist to critique, I can say, these are my colors over so-and-so and so-and-so. And they can see the work that you're doing for itself. So that if you want to get hired as a colorist, that's what you want to show them. So what a lot of colorists, the errors they make is they color their own stuff, and if they're not as solid in penciling or inking, some of that comes through into the color, and will hurt their chances. When you build your portfolio, make sure that you can tell a story with color. So instead of doing 15 covers, do 3 covers and 2 sets of 5 interior sequences to show that you can tell a story with color.
Okay, I was going to ask you that if you would do sequential. Cool.
Just like pencilers, right? That guy can draw a cover, but he can't tell a story to save his life.
Because you have to capture the energy and the mood in each panel with whatever is going on already.
Right. You have to tell a story. I mean, that's what a comic book is.
By the way, Dennis is here.
Hi, Dennis.
I'm flattered. Dennis has come on a couple of times to watch. Geraldo has become a friend of mine. He's been on. I'm flattered to see all these great artists and colorists and inkers and everybody being a part of my little show. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming out and watching me mumble and jumble.
No, it's been interesting. It's been great. Steve, again, another good question. Okay, maybe it's not a good question. Oh, the grammar's not good.
What is it you like to do to get away from the art?
What is you like to do to get away from the art, to clear your head and come back to it with a fresh eye? Put the drink down, Steve. Put the drink down.
So I coach soccer. It's definitely like a social escape for me.
That's not you telling Steel third, right? Because that was the key.
No. I didn't rub my nose. I know I rub my nose, but I really rub my nose.
Real quick, I don't need to interrupt you. I'm just going to tell everybody. I tell every guest, if it's going too long and they feel tired, to give me a sign. So I told them, talk about soccer with your daughters if you're tired and you want to go. And then he joked around about signs like Steel third. So that's what that's all about. And he just brought up soccer, so I was just checking.
Yeah, it's over. See ya. No. I love coaching soccer, and that's one way to get away. I like working out. So for me, physically, to actually like get exercise in a job where I sit a lot, it definitely helps. And then when have artist blocks, I go watch TV with my daughters. So they'll watch stuff that I don't necessarily watch, or don't necessarily would watch unless they have it on, and that tends to clear my head. Because it's a show, about flipping houses or buying wedding dresses, and it's kind of like I sit there and I'm like, wow, it's like, do people actually do this? And then my brain just kind of like dumps out and resets, and then I come back and work.
See, I'm surrounded by women too, so I understand those torturous TV shows. Actually, I'm pretty good. My daughters like superheroes. My little one loves the Hulk. So
yeah. And to the credit of some of these shows, some of the dresses in their shows are amazing. I appreciate the art of making the dresses. I don't appreciate the bickering that goes on. Which dress to pick. It's like, well, it's her wedding. What are you guys complaining about? Let her pick her dress. I just walk away angry.
No, unless it gets into a Jerry Springer fight, then it's really entertaining. Like chairs, and then it's like, yes, this is great. He just jumped off the top rope.
Yeah.
Geraldo said, "I am really honored to have worked with Alex once on a Wonder Woman issue a long time ago when JMS and Phil Hester wrote the book."
That's right. I remember that as well. Yeah, that was a good run.
Sid, you snooze, you lose. Sid, pay attention. She says she looked away for a minute. Gerald over there. Chance asked, I assume you color on a Surface monitor. Do you use Cintiq?
So it's a Cintiq. I work on a Cintiq at home, on an iMac with a Cintiq attached to it. That's my home setup. When I travel, it's a laptop with. It used to be a small Cintiq, and then for whatever reason, I switched back to just a tablet. A Wacom is the company that I use. They make Wacom, yeah, WACOM.
Are you going back to this again, Alex?
Not yet.
Wacom.
Wacom. So it's spelled WACOM. Some people call them Wacom. Wacom is, I think, the way you're supposed to pronounce it. At least that's what the people who work there call it. So that's what I'm calling it. But they make great tablets, and they make different sizes and styles and complexities and different price points so that everyone can afford to have one. And it makes a huge difference because you're drawing digitally. You're drawing on a pad or a paper or a screen, which is a lot easier to do than a trackpad or a mouse, which is, I don't recommend that because your finger will cramp up on a trackpad and your hand will forever be like this on a mouse.
Kevin Stewart said, yes, it's Wacom. Absolutely.
See?
Well, I wasn't knocking that. I was saying Wacom sounds like what an Italian guy in a mafia movie does. Yeah, you remember the mafia movie? Sid said, thanks for the tip. She wants to break in as a colorist and have just started. She's a really good artist, so I'm just a penciler artist, so she'll probably wind up really doing well and succeeding.
Well, I hope so. Good luck to you. I hope you do.
Dennis said he had fun chatting with you back when you were in Manila.
Oh, yeah. I love that trip. That was such a great trip.
I really regret this. Dennis was in town for my very first show. Mm-hmm. And he asked if he could come and be a part of the show. And I wanted him to come be a part of the show, but it was a small hotel show. And I was literally packed to the brim to where only one table, there was a table outside the room to fit a local artist. It was so packed. And the aisles were like 4 feet and people were like bumping each other. Wow. And I had no room for him. And I was like, how do I tell this guy I have no room? And I felt bad. And I told him that. And that he, I didn't have room. And I felt, to this day, I'm like, damn it, I feel bad.
I'm sure he understands.
No, he was very nice about it. He was really cool.
But that convention, that trip to the Philippines was incredible. I was lucky enough to go with Will Sportacio, who was from there, and so I got kind of like the VIP treatment because everybody there loves Wills, and I got to meet some great folks, and the fans there are incredible, super knowledgeable, and the nicest people ever. I kid you not. I took the most pictures at a convention there of all the conventions I've ever been to. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Filipino people are always very kind, very nice.
Yes.
Joe and Wills are great. I keep Wills, he's a foodie, and I keep telling him, look, I got tiger fin shrimp for you if you come, because he loves tiger fin shrimp. I'm like, we're in Long Island, man. We know shrimp. We've got food. We got seafood. So hopefully he'll come to the next one too. And they wanted to come to the one that you went to because they wanted to hang out with you and Scott, but they couldn't. They had things going on that they couldn't make it. So
we'll have to make it the next one.
When did you start working from home?
When I had to take care of you, you dork. Let's see, it was 2006. I started working from home, and it was probably the best thing I've ever done because it did allow me to walk my daughters to school in the morning and teach art classes and their classes and all that kind of stuff. That is invaluable, and I wouldn't change it or trade it for anything.
Does it ever, though, on the other side, do you ever feel distracted at home, or you're good? You just close your studio, tune out.
Well, it was where my wife went to work, the kids went to school, and it was just me. So the only distraction was me focusing, and once I got used to that, I got good at it. It was easy. The hard times were the summertime. My wife's a teacher, so then she was at home during the summer, and then the kids weren't home with summer, and they wanted to play, and then the dad's got a deadline. Dad can't play today, kind of a thing. So it was hard. We did a lot of kind of improvisations where we brought a TV and the GameCube into my office so that they could play in the office with Dad while he was working, and I'd jump out and do a couple rounds with them and then let them go back to it. And then you just kind of try and maximize the summertime with them, even though I was the only guy in the house who didn't get the summer off.
And now the only distraction is click-clacking Rottweilers.
He's right here. Yeah, he's sleeping. He's finally out.
Well, usually I put my wife to sleep when I speak.
Yeah, he definitely has separation issues, so he likes to sleep right next to me.
He's your boy?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So I've seen you've put up in videos on Instagram. I've seen. So
he's hilarious.
Who's someone that you fanboy when you see?
In comics?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you say in movies, whatever.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I fanboyed when I met Klaus Janson. It's one of like my favorite convention moments. I met him in San Diego a long time ago, and he was in the group of people that I walked up to say hello to, and then I realized that Klaus was literally 2 people away from me, and I was like, oh my god, that's Klaus Janson. Like, holy smokes. And I was like, all right, I have to say, Klaus, I love your work, you're awesome. I just wanted to say that. And before I could get it out, he looked over and goes, Alex, so nice to meet you, I'm a big fan of your work. And I could say, I was like, it's like what do you say to the guy you've idolized forever, who turns around and tells you that he's a fan of your work? And so it very cool and indicative of what kind of a person he is. That's cool. That's the status that he has as a comic book artist to say that to someone who I hadn't been in the industry that long. I think it was right after Hush when I met him.
That's cool.
And so it was such a cool moment. And so I remember kind of fanboying like that when I first met Klaus. When I first met Frank Miller, it was kind of the same thing. And so, but it's cool in that you get to meet them and you realize that they're just as goofy, nice, generous people as all your friends.
And tell us about Monkey Ball tournaments.
Oh, that's right. Monkey Ball was so great. On the GameCube, we used to spend hours playing that. It was hilarious.
I think it's nice is you can see the relationship you have with your daughters, that they're on here supporting you, teasing you, joking with you.
Yeah, any chance to mess with Dad, right?
But that's good. Those are the memories you create, and it's cool to see that.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Who's someone that you never have met that you would absolutely love to meet? Like, what on your bucket list? Someone alive and who that's no longer with us that you can't?
I never met Stan Lee or Jack Kirby. I worked with Stan on a few projects and through emails conversed. Would have loved to have met both of them. They were such an influence to the industry and whose work I admire and love. And Alex Toth, I think, is another artist who I would have loved to have met. Nowadays, it's funny because you get to meet people without actually meeting them now because of the online and the social media, where there's people out there who I've never met, but we know each other because we goof around online all the time. And so I think for me it would be, I would love to meet them because I've never met them in person, even though I know them and we've chatted. So it's folks like Jorge Jimenez, who I brought up before. He's the Spanish penciler.
Does he speak English, by the way?
I think so.
Because I sent him some messages, but he probably gets like 1 million. So I didn't know if there was a language barrier or not. So
I think he's pretty fluent in English. I think.
Okay, because I went through his site and his contact email. I was just curious.
Okay. And then there's other like colorists that are up and coming, like Alejandro Sanchez, who's really cool. Tomeo Mori, folks whose work inspires me right now and who have pushed me as a colorist in that kind of coast. And so folks like that, whom, like I said, I've never met in person, but through the internet, it's kind of cool that you can go on there and just say hello and interact with them. Cool.
Now, what's your favorite convention and why is it my show? No, no, seriously.
It's my favorite one because I'm talking to you.
Actually, though, it was a great compliment. You said you got a lot of coloring commissions. I think you said that was the most you got one day at a
I did.
show.
I couldn't believe I did that many in that one day. I walked away thinking like, wait a minute, how come I got to do so many? And I think I don't know why, but I did do a lot. And maybe it was because I only had one day. So like my deadlines, it's like, I got to do them all.
Well, I got to tell you, we don't get to see you out here unless it's New York Con, but to see you in a smaller show where they have time to talk to you, it's more affordable. The people were just thrilled that you and Scott were there. They were just out of their minds. Like, I can't believe they're going to be there. What did you do to get them? I had to tell them I had involved threats and,
I'll be honest. The smaller shows are my favorites. I love smaller shows. I love WonderCon. I like WonderCon more than I do San Diego.
Okay.
And I like WonderCon because it's about comics, and it's because I get to interact with the fans more. Where San Diego is a grind, where it's Monday through Sunday, and Wednesday through Sunday, and I know I am going to be 100% busy for those 5 days, and I'm gonna come home on Sunday, and I'm not gonna wake up until Monday evening, kind of a thing. So, and it's a compliment to San Diego in that WonderCon is my favorite show because the same group puts on both shows. That they're able to create those two shows that are so different and yet so successful. Like I said, WonderCon's my favorite show in that it's small, it's about comics, and it's close by, so I can drive to it.
That's always good.
But I really do enjoy like the smaller shows, and then the other shows I like are international ones that invite me because I get to travel.
Sure, and you get to see places like Manila and in the Philippines. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I would love to be able to do that someday.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'll become a big promoter and I can go do that, and I can go to other places too and check them out. That'd be nice. But what's the craziest commission you ever got, or even just best or most interesting?
Most interesting. I think I had to draw a Wonder Woman as a lioness once, and that one was a little like, okay, I'll try it because I like wildlife anyway. So I just kind of merged the two things that I do. The craziest is I'm still working on that one. Someone commissioned me. They bought the Art of Jim Lee book.
Yeah.
The artist edition, which is the black and white, and they commissioned me to do the Hush fold out cover.
Oh,
the heroes. I don't know why I said yes, but
are you doing that? So you're doing the traditional coloring on that?
Markers, yeah.
Wow, you did a lot of traditional coloring at my show, and they looked amazing. And with the short time that you did them, I mean, Al Garza had done a Gladiator Hulk for somebody, and you colored that, and that was knocked it out of the park. That was fun. Yeah, I was like, man, I wish I could like have everybody look the other way and just start taking them now. Some good stuff. Thank you, Sid. I appreciate that. She was saying she would translate for me as needed. Very kind. So Harley asked, what was it like finding out you were going to color a Joe Shuster piece?
That was cool. The folks who do the buyer's guide got a hold of a piece of art, a Superman piece that had never been colored before, and they asked if I would color it. And I mean, I said I have to ask permission from DC, but even if they say no, I'm going to do it because because I'm under exclusive contract with DC, so anything that's not published through them, I need to get special permission. But they realized, of course, they said yes. I mean, they realized it was a DC character, a DC icon. A creator of Superman. Why wouldn't they say yes? And why wouldn't I say yes? And it was so cool. It was very nerve-wracking. And I think I colored it 3 different ways because I just was so like, wow, and I could do it like this and I could do it like that. And why don't I do it like this? So I did 3 different things and sent all 3 of them to them and said, you guys pick because I can't pick. And so it was a lot of fun. It was very surreal.
When was this?
It's been about 4 or 5 years now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I mean, to be able to know that your life between the father relationship with your daughters and then on your career side to be fulfilled on both sides, that's gotta be amazing.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
it's been incredible.
Dell wanted to ask, when you're under pressure to do different projects at the same time, do you sacrifice quality work to make sure you make the deadline?
I don't like to sacrifice work. In fact, I would rather split the book with another colorist so that we don't have to sacrifice quality. So if I know I can't finish the project in time, I always say we should bring someone else in. I'll split the work out with someone before compromising the art that we're putting out.
What the hell, Geraldo? You didn't say this to me. I have you on the show. What the hell, man? You hope you can come to Chile one day. They have great Comic Cons there.
I would love to go. If you know any of the organizers of the shows, tell them to drop me a line. I'd be more than happy to come down. I would love to visit Chile and get to know the people there.
Yeah, I didn't get an invite. Fine.
You want to be my plus? Sorry. If you can talk my wife into it, you can be my +1.
Sorry, I'm not Mr. Colorist. Whoa. I'm just kidding. Dell, he had answered before, actually. Klaus Janson, he was starstruck at a con, but Klaus actually recognized him right away and spoke to him first, saying he loved his work. So it was pretty cool. Okay, here we go. I always got to screen and make sure the questions are appropriate. Have you ever had a fan come up to you and make you feel like, wow, I've become someone big, or does it humble you instead? Do you ever get an inflated ego? Truth, come on, truth, come on.
No, you know what? I love hearing fans say that they love our work. It is humbling. It's very humbling. It definitely makes the long nights, the sleepless nights worth it when people come up and simply not even say anything but have us sign the work. If you think enough of it to bring it with you to a show, to have me sign it for you, I am more than happy to do that for you, because I appreciate the fact that you bought the book, you read the book, and you thought enough of it to want it signed as well.
You just reminded me of another kind thing you did for me. I had a friend that could not make Comic-Con that had everybody's signature on the book, and he loved you, and he wanted your signature on the book, and he's like, can you go ask him to do it? I said, look, he doesn't know if it's really me or I'm going to flip it or what I'm doing. I don't know, but all right, fine, I'll ask him. And I was prepared, I was like, okay, I'll pay. And you said, and you told me, you knew me because I did the show. So it's not like I was a stranger walking up to you. But you said, no, it's okay. I trust you that you're not, doing anything with it. It's because you just wanted the signature. And it was very kind that you did that. And that person, when I gave it to them, they were like, well, how much do I owe you? And I was like, no. He understood that you're not flipping it. You're not doing all that stuff. You just want a signature. And he was so grateful to you. I mean, he was like, wow, he's such a nice guy. I was like, no, he's not. No. It was very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I'm glad that he enjoyed it.
And remember, it's because I knew him. So don't go up to him as a stranger and think that he's going to sign everything. Veer said his 30th birthday present was done at New York Comic Con. Jim Lee pencils, Scott Williams inks, and your colors. Wasn't that the Green Lantern? Was that a Green Lantern? I think it was a Green Lantern.
I think so.
Anyway.
Yeah, we've gotten more and more of those where someone will commission Jim to do a sketch, and then they'll commission Scott to ink it, and they'll bring it to me, and I'll color it. And it's kind of they're very unique, original, and it's cool to work on those too.
Yeah, well, please, I wish I could get something from you, Jim and Scott someday. Are you kidding me? Favorite Marvel character that is not part of the X-Men?
Daredevil.
That's what I thought you were going to say because you said it before. Yeah, I would love to see your colors on him. That would be interesting.
Color Daredevil.
That would be interesting. Now, do you like the red costume? Do you like the black and yellow, or do you like that horrible armored one?
Red. Red is Daredevil. Me and Frank Miller is his run on Daredevil is one of the reasons I love comics. So I would definitely do that.
Sid and Geraldo are both working on getting you to Chile. So there we go. Dude, I'm like the Love Connection to comics, man. I'm telling you, I'm bringing people together.
You got it, man. I'm telling you. I'll give you my wife's number. You can, good luck talking to her until letting you be my +1.
Yeah. Well, they might see the side of me think I'm a +2, but it's besides the point. Dell said, "What do you think DC needs to do to catch up to Marvel in the movies?"
They need to just write them better, right? I think some of the writing wasn't very didn't honor the characters in there and the way the characters were written in the comics themselves. So it was a lot of like, oh, we should do this and this because it's cool, instead of we should do this and this because that's kind of what happened in that storyline, and it would be cool because, you know, when it came out in the comic, it was an amazing thing to see. And I think a lot of the success of the Nolan movies is that he did borrow some from, you know, Year One and these books, and made the moments his, but paid the ode to that original book when it came out. And I think they lost a little bit of the side of that, where they said, oh, it's going to be my version of the character, so I'm going to do this to him and I'm going to change this just because I want to change it. And it's not, and it's like, well, you know, if you anchor it to what was successful in the character in the past, I think it'll carry over into the movie and it'll carry that way. So I think the castings for these characters have been more than amazing. I think the castings have been just as good as the Marvel movies. I just think that we need better written scripts for these movies.
I'll agree with you. When non-comic executives get involved, it often, you know, they go what they think the audience wants. But that's the thing with comics I never understood is that's the one movie that you already have the script and the template written for you. All you have to do is translate it properly.
Correct. I mean, in Iron Giant, which we were...
Steve Garcia,
yeah. It's one of the best animated movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And the executives for that studio, Warner Brothers, really botched that up, right? Because they wanted changes, and when the changes weren't made, they kind of threw it away or wanted to, and they didn't realize what they had in their hands. To this day, that movie stands up to all these movies that have come out since.
I agree.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, us too. Daniel Barker said it's on fire.
Thank you.
Geraldo said he loved the work on Blackest Night over Ivan and Joe.
Thank you. Hardest work I've ever had to do.
Superman stuff is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Blackest Night was the toughest series ever. Like we talked about before, where I like playing with one or two light sources. Here was a book where I had 6 or 7 light sources and playing with them and making them look balanced, and to make the right characters pop with that was just a challenge.
Which is funny, Geraldo, because when him and I were talking earlier with Alex and I was asking him about light sources and stuff, I used you as an example when you had done that Green Lantern sketch, and I didn't even think of the light source from the ring as well as the external light source behind him. And I brought that up to him, you know, using you and your example. So it's funny that you, that worked out that way. Your daughter asked, favorite non-Avenger Marvel movie?
Non-Avenger Marvel movie. Are there any non-Avenger? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'd have to agree with that.
Favorite non-Avenger Marvel anything? The Daredevil Netflix series.
Yes. That fight scene in the hallway in the first season, I think it was 3rd episode, is like the greatest freaking choreographed fight scene ever. And it was so real the way he would get his hits. And you don't knock a guy out with one punch. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Imagine that being Batman now, right? In a movie.
Right. And a lot of the success of that series is grounded on Frank Miller's work on the character.
Yep, I agree. Dell asks, is this exactly where you thought you would be when you thought about it as a child, or are you just glad your life turned out like it is right now? Did you step in rapper?
Yeah, that's right. No, you know what? Even in high school, I thought I was just going to be a painter and sell my work in galleries. Little did I know that, you know, I would end up in comics, even though I loved reading them when I was a kid. I think I didn't have the understanding of what went into making a comic book when I was younger. I just loved reading them and drawing them. and I just didn't realize, oh, you can get paid to do this? Sign me up. I didn't realize that until I was in college. So I'm very, very happy that I ended up this way.
What are your thoughts as far as the DC situation and everything that's been happening, and just the industry as a whole?
Well, it's been hard because a lot of the people that were let go by DC were people that I worked with for years, over the years, many series and projects that had a lot of success. So it was very heartbreaking. It's hard because I'm detached so much from the corporate side of that I don't know where I think I know where the thinking's coming from, but nothing's confirmed or anything like that. I kind of get it why they're doing it, but I don't see where it's leading, and that's kind of what concerns me. Is I don't know where they're taking it. I mean, some great stuff has happened since that DC's done. Fandom was an amazing thing that DC did that I was very, very proud to be part of. And so if DC has been kind of revamped to be able to do that kind of stuff, then I'm very hopeful. I'm very optimistic about it. It is bittersweet though, in that we did lose a lot of really great, talented people in that move.
Do you think that they're going to go digital strictly, or do you think they'll always be paper comics?
I hope not. I think comic books are comic books. It's a collector item, right? It's like, wait a minute, so you're going to stop producing everything that's collectible like that? I think there's a market for it.
And there'll be a ripple effect, because how does that affect CGC and and all these grading companies, and because now there won't be, you don't grade a digital file on a tablet.
Right. No, and so it's hard, right? So I think they'll continue to publish them. They have to continue to publish them. Where are you going to get the material for the movies if you're not writing the books?
Right.
And so I hope that it doesn't go full digital. It's nothing against digital. I think that having digital is great. There's people out there who don't have a comic book
as an option,
right? And so digital affords them the ability to read comics without having to find a comic book store. And so I think if we can continue to do both, it'll be amazing. As a fan, I love when I get copies of the book that I worked on. I pick it up and I flip through it. I look at it. I want to make sure that it printed properly, but I still want to hold that book, and I still save copies of the books that I worked on, because it's that part of me that grew up as a collector, as a fan. I still want to, hey, I worked on that, and I worked on this, right? I'm holding what I worked on, and
your resume is right in your hand.
And I'm not shaking an iPad. I'm shaking a little book, which is great. Then I can pass it off to a kid and say, here, read this.
I agree, and you better like it, or I'll hit you, roll it up, and
sick Batman on you.
Steve had said, thanks for the kind words on Iron Giant. Much appreciated, and glad you dig it. He's a great guy, by the way.
Steve, I am not kidding, not exaggerating. Iron Giant is, ask my kids, they watched it at least twice, because I'm always watching it. It's a great movie. I love it. I love everything about that movie.
Me too. The ending was awesome with the Superman.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah. So veers back to me singing a soundtrack. Hey, I'm just saying, best-selling soundtrack. Bring it. Warner Brothers can throw me the contract. I'll blast that baby out. Chris Mad is an excellent artist and a goofball, so I don't take this question seriously, but what the hell? What's your favorite love story movie?
Love story movie.
What a weird question. You're such a weird man.
Braveheart. Braveheart's a love story.
It is.
The guy invades England because they killed his wife.
Agreed. And they married in secrecy because the Brits wouldn't let that happen. I agree. I'll go with that. I agree. Netflix, Daredevil's on par with all the MCU stuff. And I heard that they're all coming back, but they don't know what platforms could be on, FX or some or Hulu, but I hope they do. And what's his name who plays Kingpin is amazing.
Oh, D'Onofrio? Oh my God, he
Enough
was
for you.
awesome.
Yeah. So I ask every artist, every guest that's on the show, if you could go back in time to when you were young and you were starting out, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say don't change a thing.
I like that answer. That's the best
I
answer
would
we've gotten yet.
say there is nothing that I would change. The good, the bad, the rough, the highs, the lows. They all got me to where I am right now, and I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm grateful. I pinch myself every day.
Don't do it too much. You start to get welts.
Somebody has to.
Well, it sounds like your daughters would be happy to pinch and poke you and mess with you. I like that answer best because I'm the type of person that I don't have any regrets. I feel the bad stuff is what makes you who you are. It teaches you, it makes you stronger. When things go right, you don't learn a damn thing. That's how I feel. I mean, I could be wrong, and who knows? And maybe I'll look back in 10 years and go, "Oh my God, I hate my life." But I think I'm good. So I like that answer. All right, Lou has another thing to say. Phil, please tell Alex I'd like to send him my original Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark movie poster signed by Lucas Spielberg Ford for all his contributions to the panel artwork storytelling medium.
Oh, I appreciate that, but keep your awesome poster. I would hate to take that away from you. As a fan of the movie, as someone who collects cool stuff, I would hate to have you send that to me because it's such a cool thing.
And he's not giving you his address. Okay, nice try. Like, honey, is there someone on a tree branch outside with binoculars?
Yeah.
Your daughter's coming in. Dad, there's a creepy guy in a tree. No, I'm just kidding, Lou. I appreciate you coming out. I hope you had a good time.
I had a blast. This was awesome.
I do have to tell you, I mean, I don't know you well. It's not like we're friends, but from my interactions with you at the show and in New York after, you've always been nothing but a down-to-earth, humble gentleman. I appreciate you coming to my show. I appreciate the things you did to help me when you were coming to my show. And my daughters, we appreciate the kindness you showed my daughters. I wish you continued success. I really am most impressed more than your body of work with the relationship you've built with your daughters. I think that's your greatest achievement. And they seem like lovely people. I'm glad they came out to poke fun and bust your chops.
Any chance they get.
But I appreciate you coming out. And, of course, you're welcome anytime. And we hope to have you at Creatorcon when all this nonsense is over. And thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, for your kind words. I'm first in line for the next show, definitely.
That is awesome. Thank you. Harley asked, what's your favorite non-DC Marvel statue in your office?
Do I have anything? I do. I have my Mighty Mouse. I have a Mighty Mouse statue that I love.
You told her. Follow me on Instagram.
Actually, you know what? Jamie is all my daughters are love to draw. They're very talented. Jamie kind of rediscovered drawing about a year ago and started really doing it seriously. And if you follow that account, you'll see some great stuff from her.
So follow at Jimmy with 3 M's because it's Jimmy's Art. There you go, with 3 M's. Jimmy's Art. Hello, it's late. Yeah. And there's Jamie Sinclair, and she's got some talented art. He said, I'm going to go check it out. So follow her.
Yep.
Follow her, or she's going to heckle you at every show that you appear on.
She has a really cool Mandalorian sticker that she created that I think, I mean, I own a couple of them, so you definitely would want a couple of those. Cool.
By the way, before you go, I don't know if you're aware, but I have a really faithful, loyal group of people that come every show. Mm-hmm. It's like about 8 to 12 people at least. And I had a contest. What are we going to call you guys? The Dog Pound, whatever. And they came up with the Rogues Gallery, which is actually Steve Garcia from that worked in the Iron Giant. Mm-hmm. The reason why the Rogues Gallery is because, as you can see, they're not really my allies. They come out and support me. They come out so they can heckle me. That's right. So they're the Rogues Gallery, and we have inside jokes that go on based on prior guests' answers. And I don't know if you know who Chris Campana is, but Chris Campana, I asked him his craziest commission, and it was a panda bear fornicating with some weird anime character.
Oh my God.
I know. Now he says he turned down the commission. We'll just have to go by his word. Yeah.
Just go Google it right now.
Yeah.
It's there.
So, and the other thing is that Geraldo, I told him when he comes to New York, we're going to go out to dinner, and he goes, "Well, I've never been. I like Red Lobster, and there's no Red Lobster out there. Can we go to Red Lobster?" So they joke around all the time about me taking them to Red Lobster and stuff. So that's why Vera had written, "Make sure I take you to Red Lobster." Okay. After the show. Well, and the funny thing is, you and Scott and Al and Marat, you all went out to dinner, and I would have loved to have gone out with you guys, but because it's a one-day show, I have to clean everything up.
Right.
So the next one's going to be a 2-day show, so I'm hoping that I can go to dinner with you guys, and who knows, if it's a really successful day, maybe it's on me.
Sure.
And we'll hang out, and I can hear you guys tell stories while I just sit back and go, "Oh, cool, I'm at dinner with Alex Sinclair and Scott Williams and all these guys."
That was a fun dinner.
Al is funny.
Because the place we ate dinner at didn't serve alcohol, but they said
really?
we could go buy it at the alcohol store next door and bring it in. So we sent Allie in to buy it, and he came back with like the cheapest beer. Is like, really? That's what you picked?
You probably found him in a flea market or a yard sale.
He pocketed all the cash and he bought the cheapest beer.
Yeah. I heard that you guys had a good time. I was like, man, that would have been nice, but I was knee-deep. By the time I get done and I clean up, I'm exhausted. I've been up for hours. And
and the stress of the show itself.
Wow. I do the whole show myself. I mean, I get staff, but I set up the room, I do everything. So I get tired. I got to get a staff.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you again for so much for coming out. I was so glad that you said yes. I was looking forward to talking to you because I didn't really get a chance at the show. Wish you much success. Everybody follow. Why did it stop? I had it up. Follow Jamie's Instagram. And, of course, scrolling on the bottom, if you live in a cave and you don't realize how to reach out to Alex, there you go. And, again, I wish you much success, continued success and health, and hope to see you at my next show.
I hope to be there. Thank you for having me again. Thank you all for coming out. Girls, I love you. Thanks for coming out to give me some jabs there. Love you.
Be well. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. You too.
So that was an awesome show. I really enjoyed talking to Alex. He's a great guy, and I appreciate him coming out. Thanks for all the interaction, all the questions you guys came out and brought. And thank you to the Sinclair family for coming out and being a part of it and help loosening them up by jabbing them and poking them and stuff. Jamie said, "Bye, Dad. Love you." He's backstage, so he can hear. Anyway, I just want you to know, Tuesday we have Bob Hall, most known for his West Coast Avengers, of course, but he is obviously done a lot more than that. He's a talented artist, great guy. He will be here Tuesday at 10 p.m. for the next Creatorcon Q&A. I do have my Jam Piece episode on the weekend. I am going to be with Billy Tucci tomorrow, helping him finish up his fulfillment, so I'm not going to do 1 p.m. It might be nighttime. I'll have to put up a post to let you know. I again want to thank you guys for coming out. Thank Alex for being a part of this. I will leave you with 2 things. Have fun storming the castle and be legendary. Good night, all.